It's Marg every day here at Santa Barbara Baker. We're 48 hours into the cold fermentation process on a batch of my sourdough pizza dough. Check out the introduction to this Marg Everyday series to learn more about the dough. We're gonna stretch, bake, and taste this dough, seeing how it's doing at 48 hours. I feel 48 hours is a really good place for pizza dough. That's actually where I like to start. Oftentimes though, I'm not patient enough. I'll make a pizza even that same day, and I would say my dough still comes out great. Then I think though, when you're hitting that 48-hour mark, you're starting to see a little bit better leoparding. There's a little bit more time. You slow down that fermentation in the fridge, get a little bit smaller bubbles popping up. Little differences in the dough like that, making nice little leoparding. And you know, that's what some people are into. We like a little leoparding on our pizza here at Santa Barbara Baker. I start just by putting my dough, what's going to be the top of the pizza, down on the marble. Just start stretching this thing out. The dough felt nicely proofed. I let it come to room temperature. You always want to temper your dough. That's letting it just, warm up a little bit. You don't want to be working with super cold dough. Even though you did cold ferment it, you want to just let it hang out about 90 minutes is what I like to do. But at least an hour. Super cold dough, it's going to stretch back on itself. It's not going to behave quite as like what we want for really good pizza. This dough today is feeling really nice, really easy to stretch so far. I'll flip it over, working on the top side now, dusting off that excess flour. Now let's just get it up into the hands here and see how this feels. So just, that's a good test on it. When you just get it on here, you always want to get your hands on your dough, on the dough is what I like to say. Stretching this dough ball is opening up really nice. It feels comfortable in my hands. It's not, when it gets a little bit longer in the fermentation process, sometimes it'll even open up too quickly. You got to be careful, but right now this dough is feeling really good. The tempering's on is nice. You can kind of hang out here. I feel like this would be a pretty forgiving dough for all levels of pizza makers here. Clearing off my work surface, and then I'm going to go here with this is going to be the top of my pizza down onto the marble. I'm going to dust the bottom side with some flour. That's how I like to do it instead of getting a bunch of flour on the peel. Make sure the bottom of the surface, or the bottom of the pizza is nicely well floured, and you shouldn't have a sticky pizza. This is looking good to me. I'm going to get this thing flipped over, build my pizza margherita, just a classic style. You can check out my pizza margherita videos to see all about that. I'm gonna get this thing built. I'll meet you at the oven. We'll take this thing for a bake, and then on to the taste. It's pizza time. Loading up my pizza margherita into the Ooni Koda 16. I always go for a full preheat. Then I turned it down as I was topping the pizza. We're on low now, going for, we soul bake here. What I mean by that, I just mean we're baking by feel, but it's typically around, I say a 4 minute bake. I'm starting to look for some leoparding popping up here. See how this crust is doing. We're at the 48-hour mark here. Thinking about going in for my first turn here as I see some of the action in the oven here. I see some nice bubbles popping up back there. Those little small bubbles. We really like to see that. Nice little char going on. Looks like the dough setting. All good signs for going in for a first turn here. Go in, free up the bottom of the dough here. Just go in here, making sure we're not sticky. Looking so far so good. It's a little bit sticky on the peel here, so I'm just being gentle on my turn. On to the next section here. I have to go, we're debating on using the ultra low zone here. I think I probably will. That's going clockwise up to the max point, pushing in, turn slightly right, even more into the ultra low zone to finish it up. I like that ultra low zone for when you want a little bit crispier bake, which we like to do here at Santa Barbara Baker. Finish this thing up after I do a full rotation. Thinking about a second turn in here now. Yeah, see this crust is setting up nice here, so making your turning life a little better. You see that nice leoparding here. I feel like, it looks like a little bit pale on the top there maybe. There's more 00 flour in the mix this time than my traditional recipe I have, so I'm not too shocked to see that. I like a little more brownie, but we'll see here as it finishes up. Gonna go in here for another turn. Looking nice. Maybe could have had a little more rise on that crust there. We'll see though. After we've taken it for a taste. The bake so far so good. That cheese is looking nice and milky. We got our leoparding going on. I'm starting to think about ultra low zone here to finish this thing off. Take a peek at the bottom. Wow, yeah, the bottom looks like it's setting up really nicely, nice golden brown almost looking on there. So this thing might be finishing up here. You know what, I think today I'm just gonna keep it on the low. We'll go more traditional. It's a pizza margherita, one of the traditional styles of pizza. So keep it closer to the Neapolitan. Keep this thing spinning so it doesn't burn. Just going in here, making sure it stays flat, turn it up slightly, pull back. That should spin your pizza. Seeing a little bit of smoke action there. Looking like we don't want it to burn. I don't know. All right, I'm changing my mind. I'm going into the ultra low, the game day decision. There we go, all the way into that super low zone. To finish this thing off, we don't want a soggy pot here. Let's take a look here. It's looking pretty good. Looks a little bit pale on the crust on that one side, so we'll let that finish it up. I like a nice, that leathery with some golden brown in between. Nothing super pale. Nice brownie on the pizza. Cheese is all nicely melted. You can see as you spin your pizza too, you should start feeling it. Should have a big soggy kind of feeling in the center. That means it's set if that's what you're going for. I think this thing is looking almost done here. Maybe a little bit pale there. We don't want to burn it though. Checking the bottom there. Sometimes you want that section, you see it a little pale, you set it to the back. You got to be careful. The back of that stone's even hotter, can burn your crust, leaving a dark, section right there along the edge. I think this thing's looking about done. A little bit pale for me, but I can feel that the crust is looking done. I'm gonna pull this thing out. Let's take a look. The pizza margherita, 48 hours into the cold fermentation process. It's looking pretty good. Get this thing onto the rack as we always do. Letting it hang out for about a minute. Let that crust set because we like a little more crispy bottom. Get this thing sliced up. I'll meet you at the booth. We'll take it for a taste. It's Marg every day. It's pizza time. Marg every day, the cornerstone of the pizza passionate lifestyle. We're on 48 hours of cold fermentation on a batch of my sourdough, but this time I've changed it up using almost all 00 in the mix here. Instead of I usually am about 50-50 with 00 and some bread flour. So it's a little bit different bake, but overall it looks really nice. 48 hours I feel is a really great place to start with your pizza dough. And don't let that stop you though from baking a pizza up the same day or 24 hours. It's still gonna be dank. Just be a little bit different. As the time goes on here, I think the leoparding increases a bit. Has a little bit of time to cold ferment. It's a nice spotting here, which we're seeing here. I feel like it could have maybe a little bit more rise in this crust, but I think I just was messing around, stretching it a little bit, pushed it out a little too much, but overall it looks really nice. A classic pizza margherita, the best pizza of all time, the classic cheese style pizza. Let's pick this up, see how it's doing. Looking really nice, the bottom here, looking nice and baked, spotted and brown, a little bit of tip sag. Not surprising though, it's a pizza margherita. Get that's a little bit wet in the center. We're using a 00 too. It's looking pretty classic to me. Whole structure here, maybe a little bit tight, but overall looking good. See how this thing tastes. Getting this thing, pizza margherita, looking so bomb. That milky white cheese looking really good right now. I say Marg every day for a reason, because a Marg, does it get any better? Any of these plain cheese, plainish style cheese pizzas are my favorite, but the Marg, it's just the OG, so dang. The aroma of that basil, you gotta put that basil on your bake. That's I'm into that. That is the real OG way, and for a point too, it really perfumes it up. You can taste that basil, all comes together with the sauce. The cheese looking nice and milky, molten, so dang. The crust at 48 hours tastes really good. Get a little more flavor that time. That's why you want the a little bit longer fermentation, whether it's cold or at room temp, is going to give you more flavor. It gives it some more time. When you ferment really quickly using a lot of yeast or a lot of starter, the flavor is just not quite the same. It'll be sometimes almost like a sour milk flavor in a way, not good. Or it just tastes like almost too floury, actually, is almost how I describe it. But overall, I think when you're going with a little bit longer fermentation is the way. We're starting at 48 hours here on my Marg Everyday series. I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out the whole series, Marg Everyday. Hope you're baking pizza, dreaming about pizza. You can find my recipes. They're up on santabarbarabaker.com. That's a blog where you can find everything. I'm on Instagram at Santa Barbara Baker. Give me a follow. Love you all. Thanks for all the likes and subscribes. Love you all. Keep baking pizza, dreaming about pizza. One love.